The shocking death of a star. The whole world wants to know what happened, and every minute counts. Now, for the first time, go behind the crime scene tape. With computer-generated forensic graphics and true-to-life reenactments, follow the investigation as police race against time to solve the case. In this episode, Tupac Shakur, rap superstar at age 25, brutally gunned down on the Vegas Strip.
The arm came out of the back door, and it started firing into Tupac.
Learn how doctors helped Tupac fight for his life.
He's had a right lung removed, and he remains in critical condition.
And how police missed crucial chances to find the killer.
The police made so many mistakes during the investigation, it's difficult to catalog them all.
Go deep inside one of the most notorious celebrity shootings in history.
There's a lot of truth to be told and questions to be answered regarding that night.
Next, on Famous Crime Scene, Tupac Shakur. It's September 7th, 1996. Tupac Shakur is in Las Vegas with Suge Knight, head of Death Row Records, to attend the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight at the MGM Grand.
We were sitting ringside watching the fight, and Mike Tyson and Seldon steps into the ring, the bell ding ding, and 50 seconds later the fight was over. Mike knocked him out in the first round.
Tyson and Pac were, good friends. So we was in a pretty celebratory mood.
So we proceed to leave at this time.
We're going down Las Vegas Boulevard trying to get to my club. At the time, it was called Club 662. We were directly behind Suge and Pac, and in our car was Frank, the bodyguard, and two guys.
They were going to a party. They sort of were cruising to get there. They had some time.
New York, LA, just the West Coast. I want the East Coast too.
And these gals are in one car, and they turn and talk to them.
He had said, "Hey, Tupac, where you going? Where you going?" And he was like, "We're going to the club over to 662. Go over there."
The convoy hits a red light at the corner of Flamingo and Koval. Two cars stop in front of the vehicle carrying Suge and Tupac. Tupac's bodyguard pulls up directly behind. With Suge and Tupac focused on the women on their left, they don't notice the late model Cadillac pulling up on their right.
So now it's completely blocked in, and there's absolutely nowhere for him to go. The arm came out of the back door, and it started firing into Tupac. Bang, 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 bang. And once it stopped, all you saw was all of this smoke going up in the air.
It definitely seemed like everything slowed down, and I just remember thinking, man, they shooting forever.
And the car just took off.
I grabbed Pac, I pulled him down. I got shot in the head with I still got 45 bullets that entered to my skull.
Shots fired. I repeat, shots fired. Possible victims. This unit in pursuit of vehicle. Need assistance. Leaving the vicinity of Koval and Flamingo, proceeding westbound.
Two bicycle cops, they hear this boom, 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 lots of shots fired. So they take their bikes and call for backup.
I had actually jumped out of the car and ran up to the back of the BMW because I thought that they were dead. There was absolutely no way in the world that these guys were alive. They had to have been dead. Too many bullets had gone through that car. Well, to my surprise, the car made a U-turn. So I ran back, jump in the car, and make a U-turn as well.
Both bicycle cops take off and follow Suge. Meantime, Cadillac gets away without anybody knowing.
Suge was jumping mediums and blowing his tires and frantically trying to get away. How that car was even driving is amazing. Okay, amazing. His car actually came to a stop at Las Vegas Boulevard in Harmon.
And the center of the Las Vegas Strip became the main scene.
The cops arrived on the scene. They didn't know what had happened. They saw this shot up BMW, screaming glass, blood.
They pulled everybody, including Shug, out of the car, and Shug didn't want to get out because he wanted to stay with Tupac because he was injured. At that point, Tupac was still conscious.
Police didn't know whether he'd been shot or whether he was involved in the shooting.
I get out the car, I tell the police, I'm saying, hey, slow up. They got the guns drawn out on us. I'm saying, look, I'm shot, he shot, slow up. They said, you want to get shot again?
Hey, be quiet.
There's a lot of police all over the strip. They came out in full force.
Oh, we need an ambulance. Get out right now. Don't move.
Shug was on the ground, and I said, that's the CEO of our record label. He's a victim here. So the police let Shug up off the ground, and Tupac was still sitting in the BMW. And for whatever reason, the door wouldn't open from the outside.
They couldn't get Pac out the car because they didn't know how to open the door and take the seatbelt off, so I did.
So he opened the door, and we pulled Tupac out of the car, and we laid him on the ground. The ambulance approached, and he's laying there, and he takes a breath, and he crosses his hands just like this over his body. And he goes, and that was the last breath I ever saw him take on his own.
Tupac is barely conscious as EMS workers load him into the ambulance and rush him to the University Medical Center. With the injured evacuated and the area around Shug's car secured, police begin their investigation.
Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard became the focal point for the police, for ambulances and everything.
We were cuffed and interrogated right there on the Vegas Strip. We got tattoos and whatnot, so it was like, what gang you in? And they was like, who did you see? Can you give us a description?
Witnesses at the shooting scene tell police that Tupac and his entourage had beaten up a man earlier that evening, supposedly payback for a run-in between the man and a member of Tupac's crew 1 month prior.
After the fight in the MGM, one of Shug's homeboys came over, and he whispered into Tupac's right ear. Well, when he whispered into his ear, Tupac shot off. They ran up to this guy, and he started throwing blows at him. The rest of the entourage approached him as well, and he started, kicking him and, fighting him while he was down on the ground.
Suspecting this may have been the motive for the shooting, police speak with security staff at the MGM, but they can provide no details.
Security did not take an incident report because the person they were kicking and stomping on, he said no, he wasn't going to press charges, and they didn't even know who the person was other than they had his first name, Orlando.
All right, we're here. One, and we're walking.
It's 20 minutes after the shooting. Tupac and Suge Knight are at University Medical Center, where hospital personnel work to stabilize Tupac's condition. Their biggest problem? A bullet has passed through his right lung, causing the area to fill with blood. In order to drain it, doctors insert a tube through skin and muscle, between the ribs, and into the chest cavity.
The vast majority of thoracic trauma that occurs, that's going to take care of your problem. The blood vessels will contract, the bleeding a lot of times will stop on its own, and that's all you have to do.
They believed they had him stabilized, but apparently the level of internal bleeding was more significant than they realized.
Meanwhile, police are on the hunt for the shooter's car.
We are looking for a suspect vehicle which was described as a white Cadillac, newer model Cadillac. That's all we have on it right now. We have our crime scene analyst who's gathering evidence.
The police made so many mistakes during the investigation, it's difficult to catalog them all.
Number one error was why one of those bike patrol officers didn't stay at the scene of the shooting on Flamingo. You've got witnesses who might have taken off. You've got all these people, and then they're scrambling after the fact.
Dozens and dozens and dozens of people drove through the crime scene by the time they closed it off. It was contaminated in every way, probably totally useless.
In the 20 minutes before the shooting scene could be secured, casings left from the shooter's gun were run over and scattered by speeding cars. Some were damaged, others rolled yards away into gutters or otherwise disappeared.
They didn't get any fingerprints off the casings. They weren't able to get forensics on this, and the evidence in this case was just very little.
Ballistics evidence shows that the shooter in the white Cadillac